In a very unsurprising announcement, the Fed has decided to not change the rates. This is Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate. And we talked about this over the last few weeks that it is very unlikely the rates would change at this first Fed meeting led by Kevin Warsh. And eyes are really now going to be focused on the next Fed meeting at the end of July. We did see some movement where the government, got the funding done to the reconciliation bill, and now we have the memorandum of understanding that's going to go out there to end the Iran conflict, but with uncertainty still pinning itself to things like inflation and housing prices and general statements about the economy. I can understand why the Fed really just chose to kick the can down the road at the first meeting, get things established, bring in new policy, and then open the door to conversations about what might be an interest rate reduction at the end of July. Now, I think that one has a really good chance, and maybe 60% chance as we look forward to the subsequent meetings. I think that's where you're really going to see the juice in interest rates going down. We've talked about this a lot in the recent podcast, and what's really important for today is rates are unchanged, but the sentiment is unchanged because that's really not what's driving this market. The interest rates are what they are. The energy of people wanting to move and desiring to get into a different property for their own reasons, that's what's moving this market right now. And I don't think that a slight change of interest rate of, let's say, a quarter point is going to make all the difference in the world to most people if they truly want to move. So if you're in the market and you're trying to time it out for the lowest possible interest rate, I suppose that you could wait a few months down the road. But by that time, the prices might edge just a little bit higher and negate any benefit from the interest rate. And keep in mind, refinances are available by most lenders, some of them going as much as 5 years, where you can do an automatic refinance if the rates go down. I would just say this, if you're even thinking of buying or selling and you're on the fence over interest rates, it's probably not the number one thing that you should focus on, even if it feels like it is. Now, if you got questions about this, drop them below. But right now, think of it this way. Are you going to let a relatively small amount of money exchanged in interest rate get in the way of where you really want to be living and moving on with your life? And I think when you look back in 5 or 10 years, no one's going to remember if it was a 0.25% higher or lower. You're going to remember that you made the right move. And that's what I want to get out to everybody right now. These are the people, the early adopters, so to speak, of the next generation of interest rates. The ones that are moving right now are probably going to get some of the better deals out there and perhaps even be a lot happier because they're in their new home. Now, if you got questions, again, drop them below. Definitely subscribe. This is Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.